Hello and welcome to the Import-Export Hub channel, everybody. Bias Bogdan here, your not so entertaining host for the next couple of minutes. Thanks for joining in. And guys, without making this intro too long, allow me to jump into the data here, in which basically I will cover 5 products that are worth considering exporting towards Portugal. And as usual, I have here the values, the year-on-year dynamics, trading partners, and of course, a couple of examples in order to see the main drivers from each example. So without further ado, guys, my first recommendation comes from heading 4407, so sawn wood, and we see that in 2022 Portugal's imports amounted to some $115.5 million, up 1.2% relative to 2021, and some $1.3 million if I were to put a dollar figure to this percent. We see here that Spain and the United States are the main partners, having a share of 19 and 15% respectively. But of course we have others like, I don't know, Finland, Estonia, or Cameroon in this top 10 list. But as you can see it, and let's face it, Spain and the United States are clearly dominating. Spain most probably because of the re-exports, some added value activities, and of course the proximity to Portugal, while the United States had a clearly competitive advantage, at least in what concerns the volumes committed, if you ask me. Relative to the year-on-year changes here, except Spain, Germany, and also Cameroon, who all had contractions, the rest of the top 10 partners increased their exports towards Portugal. The largest absolute positive change happening here in relation with Germany, some $2.7 million, but we see good figures above the 1 million mark, if you want me. Let's make this imaginary threshold. So these figures are coming also from the United States and also France. And speaking of the US earlier, the main driver was subheading 440791, so sawn wood, while from Finland. So the second example here, the imports were mainly driven by subheading 440711. So we're talking about sawn pine wood. Moving now to my second recommendation, guys, we have here heading 0802. Basically, we're talking about other nuts, fresh or dried, whether or not shelled or peeled. And we see that in 2022, the overall imports amounted to almost $67.4 million, with Spain, Chile, and Germany as the main partners, which were followed by others like, I don't know, the United States, France, or Turkey, to name a couple from this top 10 list. As we can see here, the year-on-year change was negative. The imports from this heading shrunk with 2.3% in relative terms and almost $1.6 million in absolute ones. And even though the trend is clearly downwards, I think that will stabilize more or less around this value. The year-on-year changes are quite volatile at the country level, so in relation with the trading partner. And let's not forget, guys, that we're talking about crops that are vulnerable to atmospheric conditions affecting the yield, of course. But anyways, we see that more or less we have a 50-50 split between positive and negative changes in this top 10 list at least. And I will highlight only the biggest from both sides. So in what concerns the negative change, the biggest in absolute terms happened in relation with Spain here, some $3.5 million fewer imports from Spain, while in what concerns the positive change, again in absolute terms, we have here Chile with more or less $3 million more exports towards Portugal in 2022 relative to 2021. In what concerns the main drivers, here we have three examples. So Chile, the United States, and Italy. For Chile, we're talking about fresh or dried walnuts, shelled. For the United States, we're talking about fresh or dried almonds, again shelled, while from Italy we have chestnuts in shell, as Italy, in case you didn't know, is one of the biggest exporters of chestnuts along with China. So anyways, moving now to my third recommendation. We have here heading 9022. So apparatus based on the use of X-rays and alpha, beta, or gamma radiations, with almost $62.4 million worth of imports in 2022. 4% more than the previous year, with Germany, Spain, and the Netherlands as the main partners, which were followed by others like, I don't know, Belgium, the United Kingdom, or Japan, again to mention just a couple from this top 10 list. And we see that overall these top 10 partners make up for roughly 97% of Portugal's imports from this heading. It's concentrated, but then again, it's understandable, as these products are highly specialized ones with a lot of technology and R&D embedded in them. Not too many manufacturers worldwide, let's face it. But anyhow, coming back to the numbers here, we see that relative to 2021, there are only 1, 2, 3 countries who registered contractions, so Germany, Spain, and the US, while the rest of them had positive changes. The largest absolute positive change happening in relation with the Netherlands, some $4.2 million. In what concerns the main drivers, again, I've managed to get my hands on 3 examples, and we have for both Germany and France the same subheading, so 902214, apparatus based on the use of X-ray for medical, surgical, or veterinary uses, excluding here for dental purposes, and CT apparatus, while from Japan we have subheading 902219. So we're talking about apparatus based on the on the use of X-rays other than for medical, surgical, dental, or veterinary uses. Jumping now, guys, to my 4th recommendation. We have here heading 1006. So we're talking about rice, yummy, with a nice organic trend, except for 2021. And we see that in 2022 there were some $145 million worth of imports, 50% more relative to the previous year, and some $48.3 million if I were to put a dollar value to this percentage, with Guyana here, Spain, and Uruguay as the main trading partners, which were followed by others like, I don't know, Pakistan, Italy, or Greece. Cumulatively, these top 10 partners make up for some 93% of Portugal's imports from this heading, with Guyana and Spain dominating with 26 and 23% respectively in terms of share. In what concerns the year-on-year dynamics, except Pakistan, who had a contraction, the rest of them had positive results. The largest absolute positive change happening in relation with Uruguay, who managed to export with $14.6 million more. As for the main drivers, well, from Spain and Brazil, we have the same subheading. We're talking about 100620, husked or brown rice, while from Greece we have subheading 100610, so we're talking about rice in the husk, paddy, or rough. And guys, with this product being covered as well, I will move to my 5th and last recommendation. Bear with me a little bit more, and we have here heading 8428. So lifting, handling, loading, or unloading machinery. So we're talking here about conveyors, forklifts, or escalators. much correlated with the construction and logistics industries, if you ask me. And we see that in 2022 there were some $140 million worth of imports, with Spain here, the Netherlands and France as the main trading partners, which were followed by others like, I don't know, Sweden, Germany, or China, again to mention a couple from this top 10 list. But again, Spain clearly dominates with its 55.4% share in Portugal's imports. In what concerns the year-on-year changes, we have 16.5% expansion relative to 2021, some $20 million in absolute terms, with 4 countries here registering contractions. So we're talking about Italy, Germany, the United Kingdom, and also China, while the rest of 6 had positive results. The largest absolute positive change happening here in relation with Spain, some $19 million more exports in 2022 relative to 2021. And lastly, guys, in what concerns the main drivers from the United Kingdom, we have subheading 842890. So we're talking about machinery for lifting, handling, loading or unloading, not elsewhere specified. While from China, we have subheading 842840. So we're talking about escalators and moving walkways. And guys, with this being said, these were the 5 products that I recommend. I hope you've liked it. Don't forget to hit whatever button you like below this video. Thanks for watching, and as usual, until next time, keep your business safe. Thanks.